So in 2013, Gameloft released the 8th installment in their gangster series, their GTA clone. But by this time, people already know Gameloft as the company that makes their games based on popular PC titles, but just primarily on mobile devices. Games like Modern Combat, which is based off Call of Duty, Nova, which is based off Halo, and the gangster games based off GTA, all having similar themes to the games they were based on, but primarily they were actually good and got critical acclaim in the mobile industry, mainly because they were the only company at the time able to accomplish such a feat, because some of the older Gameloft games play and look beautiful on phones like the Samsung S6, except the Gangster series. Now this franchise was a mixed bag. It was hard enough for full-fledged PC and console devs to recreate the GTA experience, but the company trying to do this on a phone, it looked like madness at the time. Yet they did it. It didn't exactly work, but they still went ahead anyway. At first, the games were nothing to go crazy about. Graphics and gameplay were clunky and was probably what people expected for a company trying to do this on phones. That is until 2011 when Gangsta re-released. And I'm not going to lie, it was impressive how they managed to create this, or at least copy it. It had facial animations for the characters during cutscenes. Okay to mid graphics at the time. I haven't really played the game, and I'm not going to do that. I just can't. I'm not using 4 hours for my life. But in general, it got mixed reviews. Some loved it, some hated it, but in general it's a mid game. Don't let nostalgia blind you. The next game in the franchise was Gangsta Vegas, probably the most popular one, and this one I actually went to watch the dev diaries on how they made this, because there's very little documentation on how Gameloft make their games. But judging from the time difference between Rio and Vegas, this game probably took 1 to 2 years to make. It came out pretty bad considering how many people worked on this. The game isn't at all terrible, there are good things about it, but considering how long Gameloft been making things and still haven't developed the formula, somehow is surprising to me. The first thing I'd like to write off is the story. The opening to this game is actually very well done. It sets up the main character and the villain pretty well, and by the end of the mission, your goals are very clear, and you've been properly introduced to some of the important characters in the game. I'm not going to fully explain the story for you. If you want to, you can just head online. I'm just going to summarize it as best as I can. You play as an MMA fighter who's been paid by the mob boss to go down in a fight, but you accidentally knock down your opponent and gets chased by the mob goons. So you call in a favor to help you, which is how you meet Karen and Vera, who will help you take down Frank, the mob boss. And as you go further into the story, you get introduced to other characters like E-Man, Goodman. Goodman is probably my favorite character here.
Yours? I'm sorry. I must have missed the part where I asked if you had any questions.
At some point, you unknowingly help Frank kidnap Karen, then you go on walking for both sides till you kill Frank at the end of the game. And I have to say, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 villain death. A little overdone, but definitely a good one. But overall, the story isn't anything crazy, it just gets predictable close to the end. The voice acting is okay, not Oscar level, but it gets the job done. The story is pretty mid overall, could have been done better. It has 2 technical DLCs which are compulsory to finish the game, but they are pretty fun pastime. Now, the gameplay. Driving mainly depends on which vehicle you're using. Some of the cars are amazing to drive since they have actual weight to them and turn the way you'd expect them to. Others make it a miserable experience, especially since the crash physics are very questionable. For gunplay and melee, it's garbage. You can't really aim in this game, it just has a terrible lock-on system. And each gun ranging from pistol to automatic feels the same. They are just the same gun with different firing rate. Same goes for melee combat. It all feels very, very rushed. And as for visuals, the game is pretty good looking. For a mobile game that came out in 2013, it's actually insane. At least I'll give them that. The open world. This is probably the most important aspect of any open world game. And this game, which I may emphasize is based in Las Vegas, feels dead. The NPCs have dialogue, but they just move around and say stuff. Nothing really special, except for their stupidity. Sometimes they walk into objects and just keep walking. I wonder how they thought to release the game in this state. But the world is pretty well crafted though. It's just empty. Activities are all locked behind different tiers in a city takeover system. By the way, it wasn't originally like that. Gamelofts just made that change when they wanted to become the EA of mobile gaming. And speaking of the EA, the amount of monetization practices in this game are diabolical. From constant ads to battle passes in a single player game. You can finish the main story without spending a dime, but it's going to be harrowing, but it's doable. There is one good thing about this game, which is the radio. The music at all isn't that crazy. I highly doubt you'd recognize any song here, but if you do, good for you. The music ranges from electrical to rap to classical, but there's one song which I found. There is no info that this song exists in this game, not on the wiki, not on anywhere for that matter. I could barely find it. The name is Hours by Ricky Prod. Take a listen.
Turn the headlights off, take your eyes off mine. Neon burning bright after hours.
And this has under 3K streams on Spotify, which is insane to me. But besides that, the in-game ads are GTA tier funny. Probably what makes driving worthwhile.
7 months of my life with. Thanks to Speedy, we were legally bound before she sobered up.
I met a hot stud at the bar that I wanted to take back to my room and ride like a stallion, but he told me he was waiting for marriage. With Speedy's help, that wait didn't last long. Neither did the sex.
Seal the deal today at Speedy Dalton's wedding track. We'll put you in the fast lane to love.
But to conclude the video, the gangster games have always been that one GTA clone, which is an absolute clone, trying to copy as much as possible and failing at most of it. But seeing that they're actually taking their time for the next entry, who knows, it might be above mediocre this time, but they're French, so I don't really know what to expect. So if you like the video, just hit the like and subscribe button. I'm planning on making more video essays like this one. This took a while. My voice hurts. Yeah, so bye.